think we are going live right away here. Okay, we are live. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this. You could be here live. If you are here live, say hello. If you're here on the replay, let us know. I've got one of my soul sisters here, Kate Nguy of Shee Revival. I'm so excited to have Kate here. And just this topic we're going to be jamming about is very important, especially if you or you know somebody who is trying to get pregnant or having issues getting pregnant. This is your woman. If you are also having cycle issues, this is your woman, or you want to learn how to use your period as your superpowers. I'm part of her membership. It is incredible. Like, I'm learning so much about my menstrual cycle and just, oh my gosh, Kate, I'm just like, whoa, every time you share these like golden nuggets, I'm like, yes. I just feel like it is a whole level of superpower. Anyways,
oh my God.
why I'm waiting
just as you're saying that, my whole womb space is just like vibrating. It's like, yes, yes, yes. I love talking about this stuff, but my poor husband's like, I don't think I can take you to Christmas parties anymore because all you're going to be is like, so do you bleed? When is your ovulation? Like, what is the texture? like tell me all the details.
He's just like, oh my God.
We are a very period positive household.
While I'm sharing this in 2 other Facebook groups and my page here, why don't you share how we know each other?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we run in very similar circles and we have for years. And I kept seeing Rosalind's name popping up all the time. But I just, I was a new mom to 3 children. Like, life was crazy. And so I never really like spent time to really explore it. And then after my third was about a year old, I was like, okay, now I need to deepen into my business. Now I need to know how I can really show up, not even show up because I was showing up, how I can allow new people to see what I bring to the table and why they should want to work with me. And so I did a little bit of investigating. I reached out to some of the people that I knew that had either worked with you or knew you. And I was like, okay, is this the person to hire? Because I knew if I was jumping in, I was jumping in. And I wanted to do private coaching because I wanted to really own in. Like, I knew that I had something of value. I had my image of what I wanted to create, but I wanted to know that I like how to like explode myself out into the world of saying, this is me, right? And to really live in authenticity to do it. And so that's when I hired you as my private business coach, to help me really own in on how I wanted to, I don't like the word promote. I guess that's promoting, but it's more so like of how I wanted to really be known in the world of like, this is who I am. These are my gifts. And this is how I am going to transform your experience in a way that you never thought was imaginable. Because I knew I had the gifts. I knew that I had the program. I just didn't know how to get it out into the world for people to like feel my vibration and feel my worth, right? So.
Yes. And I thank you. I'm always like, say, I love, like, I'm like, yes, universe, more Kates, please, more Kates in my life. Just my personal, my professional life, and like my favorite thing was when we started working together, even though you knew your gifts, you were like hiding a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, we'd be chatting. I'm like, Kate, you were freaking hilarious. Like, I'm peeing my pants on WhatsApp. And I'm like, who gets to see this part of you besides your husband? Like, when are you starting your TV show with your husband?
Well, it's really funny that you should say that, Rosalind.
More of this, because when you were showing me your email sequences, I'm like, who is this? It's too academic because Kate has a social work therapist background as well. So I was like, I know, coming from a clinical background myself as a psychologist, all of us academics can get very, very like academia writing. And so we lose our own personality in how we share things. And like, Kate, as soon as you just unlock that, you're just like, I'm allowed to say that. I'm like, yeah, because that's you.
Well, it's funny because we actually met for our discovery call the end of November, I think it was, or beginning of
Yeah.
December. And we were going to start working
Last
together
year.
in January. And I remember it was Christmas break. I went tobogganing with my kids and we met my middle child's friend from school. And I had never met her parents before. And that question came. And you know the question of like, so what do you do for a living? And right away, like my whole body froze. And I was just like, I work with fertility and women's health. And then right away, I felt like I had to get into what you're talking about, the academia. I had to prove to them
Yeah.
that this wasn't just some like fluffy stuff, that I was valuable. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm a yoga therapist and I've had this history and this history and history. And this is how I work with it. Like I got really into like trying to prove myself versus just being like, being proud of what I was doing, because I am proud of what I do. It's just that when you put it out into the outside world, it makes people uncomfortable, especially when you talk about periods. It makes people uncomfortable. And I needed to feel, and this is where I was like, Rosalind, I need help with this. I need to be able to go in front of people and say, yeah, this is what I do. And I rock it. And I don't have to explain how it works. You just like want to be in the container because you can feel that this is a possibility. And you're right. I was so academic because I felt like I had to prove to people that I was trying to get to come in as my clients, to prove to them that there was value in my work, that that I was working alongside and collaborating with other practitioners and naturopathic doctors, and that, my approach was just as valuable as conventional medicine. And I started like really approaching it from a medical lens, and it didn't feel good because it became too clinical. And I think that was the first thing that in one of our first meetings that we had as client and coach, was that I was like, I don't want to be another part of their medical team. I want to be something that they're not experiencing. Like they have an amazing medical team of doctors, of IVF clinics and practitioners there. They have the naturopathic doctors. They have these resources. They're probably still missing a whole heck of a lot of other resources that could be beneficial. But I want to get them on a different track for them to start to feel the power in their own body, to feel empowered that they can do this, that, this is not something that they have to go outside themselves. They may have to go outside themselves to get help, but they don't have to go outside themselves to achieve it. That there's an element of this that has to come from within. And so that's where like you and I really worked hard.
Oh,
Me being like, this is who I am.
You look at you now, and it's just like I always learn so much from my own clients, and then I end up hiring them sometimes. So like, it's really cool to hear, Kate, your wisdom and your passion and your enthusiasm, and how I'm like, you were like the pregnancy whisperer, you're the fertility whisperer, you're like the period whisperer, superpower whisperer. It's amazing. So thank you for sharing all of this. We're going to actually I'm going to read your professional bio. So you guys are all getting a sense of Kate and our relationship. And the other cool thing was we actually live in the same community. We did until I moved to Kelowna. So literally Kate was around the corner. I'm like, what? How have we never met? Right? Like so awesome.
Okay, let's share a funny little story here. Okay, so we met for the first time like this year, right? Like we've never met in person before that. My husband was going through some photos on his phone, and the community that we both live in has a lake. And 3 years ago, there was a photo on his phone where Rosalind and her family are in the background photobombing us. And it's funny because he was like, do these people look familiar? And he was giggling to himself. And I looked at him like, that's Rosalind. Like, we did not know each other, but here she is photobombing my photos already.
And I was like, we should put that one up. I was in push-up position and my kids were crawling over me. I'm like, oh my God.
It was awesome. It was awesome, but it was hilarious because I was like, we were sharing space without even knowing that we were sharing space.
Knowing. It's hilarious because Dan and I talk about that. Dan and I talk about that. We're like, I wonder how many pictures we're in of other people's. Like I wonder. And like Dan and I are like, I wonder if we ever met when we were little kids or we're in the same space, So so interesting. But anyways, let's turn this to Kate, because we didn't expect this to be a little bit of a client spotlight, but how awesome. Thank you, love. So here's the living proof that Kate has stopped hiding, has been showing up, has this incredible membership, and works one-on-one with amazing women who are struggling with fertility, who have had miscarriages, who literally are struggling with period issues. Okay, so she is the womb revitalist. She's a sacred womb and cycle mentor and fertility coach. Kate has a deep interest and enthusiasm, if you can't tell already, for everything and anything that has to do with the magic and mystery of the female body. One of her specialties is working with women who struggle to conceive and help them awaken their fertile self through their own inner wisdom and healing potential. It is her life's desire to help women to radically defy the stories they are told about this body in order to deepen their own connection and into their inner wisdom. So, Kate, let's go with the first question. Why do you feel this is your soul's calling?
Well, first of all, when it comes to fertility, like, well, let's back up even more than that. I should share that before I got into any of this work, I landed in this work because I was going through fertility issues. And when I was going through fertility issues, that was the first exposure I ever had to any kind of alternative therapy. I literally came from a small town. I had never had energetic healing, like never did acupuncture. The craziest we got in my small town was chiropractic. Like that was it. Like we thought big outside the box. And so I remember when I was going through my fertility issues, the first year of it, it was very clinical. Like, you know, we were dealing with doctors. We went to the IVF clinic to see what our options were there. I'd already went through 2 losses of ectopic pregnancies. So I'd already had 1 tube removed. The other tube was deemed most likely not replaceable or not fixable. And so they would have to remove that. We were looking at all our options. It was getting heavy. It was getting overwhelming. And I literally hit the spot where I was broken in my mind. Like I felt broken. And I literally went to people to say, I am broken, fix me. Right. So when we say that we are broken, fix us, we literally give all of our power over to other people and we become disempowered. And we say that there's nothing we can do, which is the farthest thing from the truth. It's just, we have never been taught how to tap into our healing potential. And from my line of work, that healing potential comes from our womb wisdom. It comes from our bleeds. It comes from our cycle health. This is our body's way of constantly talking to us. And what makes women so incredibly mystical in power. We have a power that men do not have. We have this communication system that's always talking to us and telling us and trying to keep us in optimum health, which is pretty freaking cool when we learn how to tap into it. So in year 2 of my fertility journey, I was like, okay, I remember we had now went through a 3rd loss and I was told it's time just to remove that tube. You're gonna have to go right up to IVF. At that time in my life, like IVF is like around 15,000 if you live where I live, out of pocket, no healthcare coverage. And so my husband and I, like we were in our early 30s, we're like, this is it. Like most likely we can only give it 1 shot. Mm-hmm. And if we do a second shot, like we are only able to have 1 child. Like we are limiting to ourselves of having 1 child if we remove that remaining tube and we have no other potential of getting pregnant on our own. And I remember just walking out there going, this can't be my only option. Like this is the only option coming to the table. This can't be it. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I like dove deep and I did everything. I remember I read this book. It was like, I got pregnant, you could too. It was a really old book from like the 70s. the cover should have said it all.
That's very
I know. But she was like, she did everything. Like she carried a rose quartz crystal in her pocket. There was something about jumping on a trampoline that she read that would help get you pregnant. Like there was all these things. And I was like, if this woman's willing to go crazy and do anything, I'm willing to become that woman too. And so I did. I remember I went to my first energetic healing treatment and I remember laying on the table and the lady's like, you can just close your eyes and relax. I'm like, nope, I don't know what you're doing. So I'm just gonna keep my eyes open. Like I was just like wide-eyed. Like, what are you doing? You're not touching me. How is this actually helping? What am I paying for?
Yeah.
But I remember like, I was so stressed out on that table. And so like, I have no idea, anxiety. But when I left those doors after that treatment, I had felt a way that I had never felt in my life. And I was like, whoa, what was that? That I went back and bought a 5 package. I was like, you got to do this to me all the time. And then that started my deep dive in. I started acupuncture. I was doing belly massage for fertility. I was seeing a womb healer. Like anything and everything that could possibly happen, I was doing. I was listening to Abraham Hicks in my car about how to manifest a baby in. Like, I mean, like I did anything. And my husband was just, he was along for the ride. He was just like, whatever. This is
It's like if
do
we
what
could
you
save
need to.
$15,000 and you do all your crazy stuff. Awesome.
Yeah, my husband's like, if this is going to save us $15,000, you can buy your $20 audio tape and listen to it as much as you want. So
I love this though. It is such a beautiful, hopeful, inspiring, positive way to not just see and think, but like actually be in, to move towards fertility and in a really like joyful way. Because I know that, and from personal experience, having suffered from, um, what's it called when you lose your period?
Anna Maria.
Okay, yes, that's right. And
Sorry, I just had to
and
send my husband a text.
oh, and also real time, and also like struggling to get pregnant with my first, and being put on synthetic drugs, uh, for balancing my hormones. You guys, I I'm a crazy person, but I'm not like crazy enough to be usually getting on the phone with my mom and wailing on the stairs because I don't want to go for dinner at my mom's house when I'm like, how old was I? Like late 20s. And my husband's like, what is going on? Like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm clearly not okay. Like, I was not acting like myself. And that's with the medical system. Now, I absolutely think there's a place for the medical system. I think that's both, both, not either or. But clearly the synthetics didn't work. And so somebody suggested, I was seeing a reflexologist, my friend at the time, and she goes, have you ever heard of, acupuncture and naturopathic doctor? And I'm like, no, what's that? And it's so interesting because my journey also in moving towards, regulating my cycle and towards, getting pregnant was the alternative holistic route, going back, like learning about my body and feeling empowered. I'm like, Kate, I wish I knew you back then. Seriously.
Well, and this goes all back into like why I say that this is my sole purpose is that,
Yes.
it brought me like, what I teach now is not something I was raised in. It's not something that's familiar to my family. This is me brand new learning this new rhythm of life.
Yes.
And I feel that's my soul's calling because I made the impossible possible. Yes. I literally healed my tube and had 3 natural pregnancies with no IVF. And I'm not saying that this is like that IVF is bad or that no one will ever go through IVF. IVF was part of our plan. We had 3 option plan. We try for 6 more months naturally. We do run round of IVF. If it doesn't work, we go straight to adoption. Like it was still part of our map. So I don't discredit the power behind it, but IVF also will not work if you don't buy into it yourself when you're going on the journey. Like you have to believe that this is going to work for you. Absolutely. You have to feel confident in your decision. And so this is my work, is like showing women first that healing is possible in the body. Second, how to advocate and navigate your own self-healing powers, and also to tap into this wisdom. And tapping into the wisdom is not something I originally taught. When I first got into the fertility world of helping women on fertility, I was still very clinical. I went according to the textbooks. I was a yoga therapist. This was where I did all my research. Everything was laid out this way. But then I went to this one talk where this woman was talking about how to eat for your hormones to balance them. And as soon as I was listening to her talk about nutrition, all these light bulbs started going off, going, yoga pose here, yoga pose there. Like, why aren't we refining this for our cycle? And then all of a sudden, like, this is once again, why is this my sole purpose? Because the universe keeps bringing me back to this point where I have to keep up leveling my game in women's health. So I started off with struggles with fertility. I learned how to heal my body. And then I thought I had like this rhythm going. And then the universe is like, no, there's another layer here for you. I ended up in this master class that I just randomly attended for no particular reason, started to shift my way of thinking. I started teaching yoga according to how we move within the cycle. So I started weaving in the cycle awareness. So, but still looking at it from a medical point of lens, right? Like looking at hormones, what their attributes are, and how can we manipulate them with yoga practices. And then out of the blue, I remember on Facebook, I sent out a post going, hey, I'm looking for some new resources about yoga and fertility. Does anyone have any? It was part of this fertility group that I was of coaches that I was part of. And someone had reached out to me saying, hey, where are you at? I'm like, in Edmonton. And she was like, you know what? She's like, there's this woman from the UK that I train with. She's coming to Calgary in a week. You should join her class or whatever. She's doing this training on womb healing and womb blessing entombments. This is exactly what you need. And I was like, okay, so I thought like this was fertility. So I completely signed up for this, going, I'm going to Calgary next weekend, no kids. I'm going to go do this training on womb healing. And it's totally lit me up. And when I went there, it had nothing to do with fertility. Like it does have to do with fertility because it's like how to bring women into their body, into their cycle, and start looking at it symbolically, how to understand the archetypes, how to go deeper into the spiritual elements of our cycle, which when we tap into the wisdom of our cycle, we're tapping into optimizing our fertility, right? Like it's not like fertility and cycle health are two separate things. They are interlaced. When we heal one, we heal the other. Menstrual problems, when we heal hormone balancing, we start to heal those things. Like they all are interlaced. They're all part of our woman makeup. And so this is another way that the universe was like, this is your soul purpose. We have to layer another layer for you to next level. And so I next leveled, and then that was probably, I want to say 2 years ago that I did that. It was probably 2.5 years ago, and blew my mind. Everything started to change now. Now I was bringing in like other elements, and then COVID hit. And I was like, oh, well, what am I going to do with all my in-person stuff now with COVID? And so I ended up interviewing like 20 people, 10 practitioners on top of the 20 fertility clients, and said like, what kind of program are you looking for? Like, what are you feeling is missing right now while we're in this Zoom world? And so I got all this data. I created this program, and first version of the program was great. It was what everyone fed me. And then as I seen how it was like starting to develop and change, I was like, this has to shift even more. And so the next level of Kate came out. And with that next level of Kate also came new trainings that I did on the sacred of the menstruation, finding our wild power. And
which I love.
Like,
I love
I
that.
know. And it's totally transformed. Like the essence of what I used to do is still there, but now it's layered with more powerful stuff. And so like, this is why this is my soul's mission, is that everything I do, even when I'm like, you know what, this is so much work. I maybe don't have the amount of clients that I want, or, this month has been, been a rough month. Maybe I should just like go find a job somewhere else. The universe always brings me back going, no, this is your art. This is your craft. And this is what you need to work at. And honestly, every time I think about like when the stress hits in and I'm like, I gotta leave, all of a sudden it comes back going, no, if you left this, like even my husband and I had this discussion once where he was like, is this worth it? Like the amount of hours you're putting in trying to marketing, is this worth it? And I was like, if I don't do it, who am I? Like, this is me. Like, I don't know how to exist without this stuff, like without talking about this cycle on a regular basis. I can't bag groceries and talk about your womb to people. Like, I wouldn't stop very long. Out there that would hire me to talk about my womb. So I just don't feel like, I feel like I'd be empty. Like I'd be giving up a part of like a huge part of me. I'd be sacrificing in a way that doesn't feel yummy. So this is where I need to be. This is not about the money. This is about me transforming people's experience. This is about me helping them move through to understand how to awaken their womb, how to create practices that help them embody some of this wisdom, and then to transform by releasing these limiting beliefs that we have to go outside of ourselves to heal.
Powerful. And your work is really powerful. I also have seen Kate for her womb blessings and healings. And I have a regular cycle. I'm not trying to get pregnant. And when I saw Kate, it was for the purpose of really, like, I'm very open to lots of different modalities, but I also wanted to, I've never had a womb blessing or healing. And this was very deep ancestral stuff. Like things would come up and I was just like, wow. So it's very powerful to heal parts of our karmic through this and how it's been held in utero, and also like you picked up for me, Kate, how it was held. Something came up with regard to, I believe it was my own birth with one of my kids and some of the trauma there, but also I think it was when I was born, there was a little bit of trauma and attachment with my own mom. So it's just very interesting what came through. And then that really actually how that energetically transpired in my life at that time. So this was like last year. Was that it actually shifted something in a positive way in my relationship with my mom. So
Yeah.
it was just like this work is very profound. Energy does not know time, right? So it's like it's here and it's like coming up for healing, and just how beautiful and powerful that was to let that bring it into the to my awareness and use that energy in a way that helps expand my relationship with my mom. So that was very incredible. And
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I'm going to also ask you, how is your, I know you sort of answered it, but let's be more direct. How is your fertility support different than what they may already be receiving?
So I work with women in two ways when it comes to fertility. I work with them one-on-one, and when we work one-on-one, we really go deep. Like this is the Cadillac. Like this is getting really deep into your body, because what we do is we look at what is the story your body's telling us right now. So we actually look at physical symptoms. We talk about your bleed days, we talk about your ovulation days. We really dig deep into understanding how the messages that the body's trying to give us. And
Yeah.
then from that, I craft a yoga sequence that I want you to work on for each phase of the cycle to help us to hopefully stimulate balance and to hopefully start to attend to whatever that root cause is. And so, like in particular, right now, I'm working with a client who has low AMH. And for people that are in the fertility world, you're going to know what that is. For people that aren't, that means like low ovarian reserve, which means they're detecting that there's not a lot of eggs, which isn't the full case. This test only tests what we know is happening in the ovary at that exact moment. And in 3 months, that can change, right? And so when I look at with women that have like low egg quality or low egg numbers, or their endometrium lining isn't thick enough, these are usually people that have anxiety. These are usually people that are stressed out. These are the like the doers. They do. And so part of my work is to help them understand where in their cycle do we need to like watch that pendulum of where the stress is impacting us. So usually in those cases, the follicular, right after your bleed days, that's when we hit it. And how we hit it, you might think hitting it means like going hardcore. No, it's like deep, deep rest, because that's when the body's actually like rebuilding the egg quality. That's when the follicles are starting to develop. That is when we're worried about the endometrium lining. So what we do is we rest so intensely here. So, and by rest, I don't mean just laying in bed or watching Netflix. Like we have yoga practices to help to
Yes.
start talking to that nervous system to calm it down so that it's starting to go into that repair mode. And then it lets the body naturally build that lining how it needs to. It helps those follicles to get the energy and the oxygen they need to be able to really be strong follicles. And so like this is what we look at. It's like we look at what's happening for the person. What has conventional medicine told us? What is a story that our body's telling us through the symptomology that you are experiencing that you're just not aware that that's communication? And then we refine it with practices. And then I'm also there as a support system to help walk you through that if like my client, she just had a bad cycle and or a bad cycle at the IVF clinic, and they contacted her with a bunch of information and said, well, we retest you because we don't know what this means. And she went into panic mode. And so me being that support for her, she was able to reach out to me and we were able to talk through what this actually means and what can we do now to feel empowered until we wait for that test a week away, right? Rather than just leaving you in this like murky land of like, oh my God, like despair, this land of despair. We bring you into a place of being like, okay, I have these 5 tools. I'm going to do these every day. They're going to help me feel empowered and remember that my body's got this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that person, what they thought was that it didn't take, it took.
Wow.
I worked with a client one-on-one who was told that she miscarried, and they did a check a few weeks later just to make sure that the full miscarriage had passed and that there was nothing left in the uterus. They found out she was actually pregnant. Like this is
Wow.
where like like, we just need to believe, we have to trust our body, right? And then my other really way of approaching it, so people can work with me one-on-one, or I have a group coaching program. And this right now, the doors are open for today and tomorrow only, they close tomorrow at midnight, is a group coaching experience, which is mind-blowing. I say if you can do both. And I do have a package that combines the online with the personal. But the online, we meet every week on Zoom and we go through 4 topics. One topic is that we talk about awakening the feminine. So this womb wisdom that we were never taught, how can we start tapping into our intelligence? B, mindset, transforming those negative thought processes and the stress in our body. The third week is a practitioner. I bring on guest speakers to talk about everything. This coming month, in 2 weeks, we actually have a guest speaker who's going to be a sex coach, who's coming on to talk to us about how to break up this mundane act of having sex while we're trying to conceive, like get it out of the routine. This is on one of your soulmate clients that's coming on here, Rosalind, to be my practitioner. And we've had like naturopathic doctors talk about ovarian health and how to improve the quality of your eggs. Like we talk about all these big things. And then the 4th week is the support group. And then you have a recorded library full of yoga videos that are matched for your cycle. And we meet every Monday morning for a fertility yoga class as well.
Powerful, powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like what I'm really taking away with just listening to you is there are so many people in the world that are walking around just cut off, and that used to be me, cut off from your head to your body. And as soon as I learned how to tap into your body, because guess what? Our body, our physiology reflects our psychology. As soon as we connect and you know the body keeps score, you can read books on that. Gabor Mate, right? Just like, and me being a somatic therapist in the past, and I still bring lots of somatic work in my with my clients. You know, the body stores the unconscious. So Kate, what you're doing is you're bringing that connection to the body and bringing in the shifts in beliefs and in mindset and helping and in the practice of creating an optimal health in women, period. You know,
Yeah.
women, pun intended. So it's incredible the work that you are doing in the world, and I think it's very rare. What is womb wisdom, and does this only apply to women wanting to get pregnant?
You know, my work started off with womb wisdom with fertility, because like you were just saying, how we're bringing the mind aspect into like these imbalances. If we get a paper cut, what's the first thing we do? We grab our finger, right?
Yeah.
We stub our toe, we grab our toe. When we have menstrual problems, do we ever bring our hands down into the womb and send our breath there? No, we're totally taught to be disconnected from this part of our body. So womb wisdom is getting you to start to sense the language of your body, know it, and start to connect. You know, actually know, where is your uterus? It's not in your belly button. I don't know how many times, and for me, I was this person a long time. It's like, put your hands over your womb, it'd be over my belly button. That's not your womb. You got to get down. You got to get down there. And so helping women map out where their womb is so that they actually can start to feel like, oh, that is my ovaries. Like there is a way for us to actually, with our hands, figure out where our uterus is and where our ovaries are. And so then when we are going through these painful periods or heavy bleeding, can we bring our awareness down there and start talking to our womb space? Can we start to listen to this intelligence? Can we start giving it our healing power of our hands by holding it? We would do that for a paper cut, right? So womb wisdom, the first layer of that is starting to map out and attend to the language of the body. The second element when it comes to womb wisdom is starting to tap into your cycle. Where are you all the time? And you know, a lot of women are taught how to do temperature and cervical mucuses, which are great indicators, right? But they're still very much in the medical conventional world of having scientific data, right? And they do tell us a lot. Those things are amazing to tell us what's happening with our thyroid and everything. Like that stuff is golden. It can give us a lot of information. It can really help your doctor. That's why it's called the fifth vital sign when you have any kind of issues, when you go into emerge. But the other element is, how do we physically and emotionally feel through each stage. And this is what you're doing with me, Rosalind, right now in our Shee Sisterhood membership, is we're starting to explore like how we can bring this into like everyday living. How can we start to weave the language of our womb into our everyday life so that we're starting to live more authentically and more cyclically with what's happening in our body.
Yes,
And
yeah,
so
like
judgment.
it's so potently powerful with regards to, okay, here's where I am in my cycle. And so you teaching us the archetypes and how like the symbolism of this stage, and then like you give me like practical tips on even just standing here,
Yeah.
at my stand up desk, and how I can use this energy of where I am in my cycle to be supported in where I am in my cycle to as a way to be empowered. And I'm like, never would have thought about that. So
Mm-hmm.
like it's incredible to have all these incredible perspectives from you to be even more empowered and use my cycle as my superpower. So thank you
Well,
so
and even to come into connection with you, right? Like this is, it's
much.
like, oh, I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm feeling that. Oh, I
Yes.
guess I shouldn't be cranky about that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
actually, this is my body telling me something. So
Yeah.
let's listen to it, right? So this womb
Absolutely.
wisdom, it helps with fertility. But then we become moms, and it's like, how can we now weave this in so that we can be more authentic with our parenting and
Yeah.
more authentic with our relationships with our partners? How can we use this now for our work life? So what started off as my little fertility project has now grown into my passion project of helping women beyond fertility, of tapping into this. Like, because this is like, this was helping people with fertility, but now we need to next level this shit. We need to get every woman on board of like, this is my body, my womb's talking to me. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, so good. So please tell us one more time your program, and then we'll also drop the links in the replay here or in the video of this, and you guys can go check it out.
Yeah. So my program's called Igniting Shakti. So you can go to Shee Revival. Shee is SHEE, not the gender. It stands for Sacred Healing Through Empowerment and Embodiment. So sheerevival.com/igniting Shakti. You can also just go to my website, choose fertility programs, and it will take you down into the fertility programs where you can click the online Igniting Shakti program. It's on sale for 2 days. There is some bonuses still live for today until midnight, and then those bonuses go away, which is my free online lifetime membership or lifetime access to optimizing your fertility workshop. And then there's also fertility teas that you get a package mailed to you, and spiritual fertility book, as well as my little giveaway for people that register today by midnight. And then the doors close tomorrow night at midnight. Then you can also find me on social media. I mainly hang out on Instagram. That's my home. That's where people follow me. It seems to be. And that's Fertility Coach Kate, if you're looking for fertility, or Shee Revival, if you're like, I just want women's wellness, womb wellness. There's a lot of crossover between the two accounts, but fertility stuff is always on the Fertility Coach Kate one. And then on Facebook, it's Shee Revival. So that's where everything
Your
gets
tags. We will
put
tag
together.
everything in this interview so that you guys can just go and connect directly with Kate. Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
you for your incredible beingness. Or I love you. I'm so proud of you and just what you are putting out in the world. It's very, very needed and potent. And to my loves that are watching, if you know somebody who would benefit from tuning into this, benefit from getting connected with Kate and working with her, please do share this with your friend. Thank you.
Thank you.